Good morning. Sorry, I'm a tiny bit late there. I joined Zoom and it told me my microphone wasn't working, so I had to troubleshoot. But I think it's working. I see people translating. Either they're very good lip readers or they can hear me. They could be both. Okay. Thank you, Koi. Um, so thank you for coming to Foundation Course 7, Class 8. Um, and let's just take a moment to recall why it is that we're involved in this course, and think about why we're here right now. If we think just about human beings, there are on this planet, just on this planet, there are billions of people who have never even heard these teachings. They don't even know about the mistake they're making that keeps them in the cycle of suffering. Billions of people who just want to be happy and who experience suffering. And while they try their best, nothing they're doing can be a cause to get out of the cycle of suffering. And it's all because of a mistake. Thinking that there's some me here that exists independent of my projections. That there are other people thinking that there are other people who are doing things to harm me, coming from their side, not my side. And this mistake keeps them in suffering. And if you're like me, I can't go teach billions of people. I mean, even if they could all join this Zoom call at this moment, I, I couldn't reach them all. The only way I can help them, truly help them, is to become enlightened myself. And the only way to do that is to have the wish to free them and take and keep the vows that support the activities of a bodhisattva. So this course helps us on this most important, there are so many most importance, on this most important part of our journey, on this quest to be able to truly help other people. Sashi Puki Jukshin Metok Dram Rira Bingshin Yinde Gampadi Sangye Shindu Mikte Owarki Jokun Namdak Singla Chuparsho Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. Sangye Charan Sukhi Chuknam La Jangchu Pardu Dakni Kyapsu Chi Daki Chishe Gipe Sunam Ki Chola Penshir Sangye Drupar Sho Sangye Charan Sukhi Chuknam La Changchu Pardu Dakni Kapsu Chi Daki Chishe Gipe Sunam Ki Chola Penshir Sangye Drupar Sho Sangye Charan Soki Chuknam La Changchu Pardu Dakni Kyapsu Chi Daki Chishe Gipe Sunam Ki Chola Penshir Sangye Drupar Sho. So we just had this holiday in my country called Thanksgiving. And it's all based on this story that's sort of made up about the beginning of our country. And, there are many parts of the story that aren't true, but the part of the story and the reason why it's like my favorite holiday is because it's focusing on gratitude. It's focusing on giving voice to the goodness of other people, right? Giving thanks to other people uh, for the good that they're doing in the world. Not only the benefit they seem to be giving me, but the good they're doing in the world. So thank you for your practice. Thank you for being a shining light in this world. You're very precious to me. So thank you. Okay. I didn't get through all of class 7. So I'm going to try and catch up as well as move ahead and do all of class 8. So here we go. I ended with talking about the secondary offense of breaking a rule out of compassion, of failing to break a rule out of compassion. And I just want to talk about it again because it's so important. This particular vow is like intended for particular kinds of bodhisattvas. And sometimes we have a tendency to think we are more advanced in our practice than we really are. And so we need to be very straight with ourselves. I think in all of our practices on this path, we need to be honest with ourselves, clear-headed. So unless we have spiritual insight, we may not know if we've been working on this practice of the Bodhisattva path for many trillions of years. And my guess is, if we don't know, we probably haven't at this level that we're talking about here. Okay. This kind of bodhisattva must have extraordinary insight into when it's necessary to do something strange or unusual in order to benefit somebody. And this doesn't mean just being quirky. There was the story of the Buddha in his previous life when, with his clairvoyance, his power of clairvoyance as a bodhisattva, he could see that the man on the ship of 500 had in his mind the wish to kill the 500 people on that boat. And he saw that the only thing that would help this person who wanted to murder 500 people, the only thing that would help him in that moment would be to kill him, to stop him from collecting the karma of killing 500 people. That's that goes against what, like, the first vow of all of our vows, right? Not to kill. To know that that is the thing to do, that is the only thing to do in that moment that could benefit that person. That's an incredible knowledge. I certainly don't have that kind of knowledge. That kind of bodhisattva must have the kind of compassion where they're in love with the person that they are, breaking another rule of morality about or toward. In other words, the Buddha in his previous life loved that person so much that he wanted to save him from collecting the karma of killing 500 people. This kind of bodhisattva cherishes other people over themselves. This kind of person thinks constantly about benefiting others, 24 hours a day. Every time they take a bite of food, a drink of water, every time they climb a step, every time they take a poop, everything they do is all done to fulfill this wish to benefit others. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear, because I kind of rushed through that vow last time. So this kind of great compassion of this type of bodhisattva is a compassion that is willing to experience the suffering from the result of breaking their vows. And we know that breaking vows leads to future suffering. Breaking, doing the 10 non-virtues, killing, stealing, etc. Those will lead to births in the hell realms. So this kind of bodhisattva is a person who's willing to endure the immense and incredible suffering of being in the hells for long periods of time in order to benefit somebody else. Jason Kappa calls this the perfection of exchanging oneself with others. You'd rather go to hell than have them go to hell. A totally virtuous state of mind. There can't be any hatred in your mind, only love. And then he says, if by doing so they lose their life, not only is it not a bad deed, but it's a good deed. And the virtue of that deed, he says, increases to the sun. You've just done something incredibly virtuous. So just a couple of examples. For stealing, if there's someone who they give the example of an evil government who is like stealing authority from people, or stealing money from people, stealing people's hopes and dreams. If you take away their authority, then you've done a very good deed. So again, it has to be out of love and compassion, and only by that kind of a bodhisattva. Someone who has stolen money from a temple or a Dharma center, and you steal it back, that would not be breaking this vow. So if you are this kind of bodhisattva, if you are this kind of very advanced being who has love in your heart 24 hours a day, does every thought, word, and action for the benefit of others, who can see what the right thing is to do to benefit others, and you don't do it, that's just nasty. That's nasty. To me, it's a little bit scary that this has to be a vow, because I would hope that if I were at that level, it would be, we have this English phrase, a no-brainer. Why would it take any thought? I'll write it in the chat. It wouldn't take any thought. If you're a kind of person who has that kind of love for other people, that strong of a wish to become enlightened in order to truly benefit them, why wouldn't you do whatever is necessary? Why wouldn't you do what you see is the thing that has to happen? That I would think there would be no fear. Yes, I'll take on suffering so you don't have to suffer. Yes. But I guess it's not a no-brainer. I guess we have to be reminded over and over until we become fully awakened ourselves. Okay, I better hurry or I'm really going to be in trouble. Okay. I'm just going to I will have the Tibetan files for you on the platform, but I'm not going to go through it like I normally do, because there is so much I have to cover. So I hope that's okay. I will still say some Tibetan, but you can look at the file later. Okay, the 12th secondary offense that works against the perfection of morality, that's the group we're in right now, is taking up wrong livelihood. And to talk about this, we go to Arya Nagarjuna's String of Precious Jewels. And this is a text that Nick is working on translating a commentary to that text. So there's 5 things that Arya Nagarjuna mentions as being wrong livelihood, wrong way to make a living. The first is flattery. Flattery, kasak. Like if you're in the business of, I don't know, I was trying to think of what kind of business that would be. Like I do see sometimes people who are assistants or attendants to somebody who's very important, somebody who has a big title, a high title, but somebody who also has this expectation, this sort of narcissism almost, of that they are better than everybody else. And so the people around them tend to flatter them all the time. Even if, you know, even if they say something wrong or slip up, they have a tendency to always tell them they're doing a great job. So I would think maybe that kind of job, right? Where all you do is flatter somebody. That's your job, is to flatter them, keep their ego pumped up. The next one is hinting. Hinting. Instead of asking people outright for something, which is straightforward and clear, you hint. I mean, some of these would have to really give some thought to into what is a livelihood that would be around hinting. Forcing. This is probably more clear, but getting people to give you what you want by forcing them either mentally or physically into doing so. This, really hassling or bothering people to get what you want. The next one is pretense, which is, putting forward a different image of yourself than who you are. Like there's the story of a monk who their sponsor was coming to visit, and they spent all morning cleaning up their altar and making beautiful offerings, making everything just absolutely gorgeous and stunning. And then they realized what they were doing. They were putting forward, to give the sponsor this idea that, oh, he's a really good practitioner, when he didn't always have a lovely altar or have lovely offerings on his altar. And so he picked up dust from the ashes from the fire and threw them on his altar. Pretense. The next one is baiting. Giving someone small gifts, minor gifts, in the hopes that they will give you something substantial. So those are the 5 from Arya Nagarjuna. And then Bodhibhadra, who's a teacher of Atisha, gives some examples of wrong livelihood. He talks about trading in alcohol, running a liquor store, trading in weapons, trading in animals, like for them to be butchered and eaten or something. Silk merchants, because the worms have to be killed in order to extract the thread that we make into silk. Owning a mill where when we're grinding wheat or well, whatever it is you're grinding in a mill, that there's often animals in the substance you're grinding. And so that would be killing animals as well. So these are some examples of wrong livelihood. So bodhisattvas, it would be an offense against your practice, your perfection of morality, to engage in these kinds of livelihood. If you are struggling, if you are in a situation where you have no other choice but to do the kind of work you do, that hurts people, that is this kind of work, like, for example, some women are, I don't know, forced into prostituting themselves. They have no other means. I mean, those of us, probably all of us here, have the privilege of not having to work in a situation that harms others. And that is a privilege. There are so many in this world who don't have this privilege, who are forced to do that kind of work. So if you are a bodhisattva and that is your kind of work, and you have no other choice, and you are struggling against it, you know, you think, this is not who I want to be. You think, I really would like to do something else in order to maintain myself, right? To put food on the table. And you work to find ways to do that. So if you are in that situation where you're stuck, you won't violate this vow if you are struggling to get out of that situation. My apologies, live translators. I know I'm going fast. Vow number 13. The secondary offense of forgetting yourself and acting wild. So what this means is to be totally silly, acting totally off the wall all the time, not ever serious, joking, frivolous, just wasting time by being goofy. Now, there are some exceptions. The first one is sort of funny. If you're struggling to not be a goof off, but you just can't help yourself, you don't break this vow. As long as you're putting up a good fight, you're not breaking the vow. But it has to be a sincere fight. You have to be really working on it. Another exception is if you are, if your intent is to help another person who's grieving, right? If your if you're trying to help a person get their mind off of some trouble that's really bothering them, and you're doing it, you're acting silly mindfully. Another exception is if you do it to distract someone who's about to do a bad deed, distract someone who's about to harm somebody else. And then another exception is if it would attract people to the Buddhist teachings. So there may be, some teachers who like celebrate every birthday of every student that they have. They have cake and sing songs to make everyone happy and enjoy being there, not being serious all the time, but to help people be attracted to be in the room. Maybe it's someone's birthday. Okay, the 14th secondary offense is thinking that you only have to travel through the circle of suffering life. Now, this one is, we can't really get a good idea just from the title. What this vow is about is it's when a bodhisattva says or thinks to themselves that bodhisattvas like being in samsara. They like being in the cycle of suffering. They would prefer that to reaching nirvana, which is being free of karma and negative emotions, right? So this is like this, because the bodhisattva path is 3 countless eons, which is a heck of a lot of time, right? It's that long because on the normal bodhisattva path, to collect the amount of good seeds, to plant the amount of good seeds you need to become enlightened, takes that long of time. It doesn't take that long of time because you want to be in the cycle of suffering. That's not why it takes so long. It takes so long because the amount of karma that you have to create is immense. So actually, they say that bodhisattvas, their desire to reach nirvana, their desire to be free of suffering, is like millions of times more powerful than those on the listener or self-made Buddha tracks, those who want to reach nirvana for their own benefit. 15th is a secondary offense of failing to put a stop to rumors about yourself. So this is when someone is, going around town, or in our world now, going on the internet, on social media and saying things about you that are negative, right? Now, if the rumors are true, a bodhisattva should acknowledge that they're true and stop doing those things. Work on themselves, right? Would it be embarrassing to do so? Well, yeah, hopefully so, right? We have other vows about not being embarrassed or ashamed of doing negative actions. But the power of the karmic seed of acknowledging to other people some negative thing you have done with a desire to stop doing that kind of activity is very powerful. That's part of what makes the purification practice so powerful, is the level of regret, right? You know what your negative actions are going to bring you in the future. You know that you're going to suffer personally from whatever seeds you planted. And as a bodhisattva, you know that you're not only harming yourself, but you're harming other people, because you're making it take longer to reach enlightenment. If the rumors are not true, then speak out. Failing to do so would be breaking the vow. Chandragomi, remember we get the wording for these vows from Chandragomi's 20 verses. He mentions the exception of if the person who's spreading unfounded rumors, so it's not true about you, they're saying untrue things about you, if they're doing so out of hatred, then it's not breaking the vow if you don't speak out. Probably because it's clear to other people that the person is speaking out of hatred. Another exception is if no one is like buying it, no one is giving them any credence, then you don't have to speak out. Or another exception is if you are a monastic and someone says about you that you became a monastic because you were poor and you just wanted to be able to go around and beg food from people. You don't break the vow if you don't speak out about that. If the person who's saying these things is under, they call it a klesha attack, if their negative emotions are so strong, like they're compelled to speak out because of whatever that negative emotion is, then there's no need to, but not speaking out would not break this vow. Okay. Last one in the group that is the offense is working against the practice of the perfection of morality is number 16. The secondary offense of failing to correct somebody when it must be done in a negative way. This is similar to the one that we started today with, right? So this one, these last few vows, they're not on the recording of Geshe Michael's teachings. So I had to go to other sources to try and get more information about these vows, these last three. And I'm not seeing that this one is limited to high bodhisattvas. But Chandragomi does say that the bodhisattva must see that using some negative means will result in a great benefit for the other person. So, for example, you have you're a bodhisattva, right? You have a friend who's also on the path, a bodhisattva, and they're doing something or about to do something that would be counter to their practice. And you see that if you were to say something to them, that it could be helpful, but that the only way you could do it is if you, like, I don't know, hit them on the back of the head or something, like, wake up, aren't you a bodhisattva? Now, you would only want to do this with people who have given you permission to give that kind of assistance on their path, until you get high enough level spiritually where you can actually see, right? You have the clairvoyance to see that doing the negative thing would be of benefit. The exception would be if by you, like, hitting them on the back of the head or whatever it is you do, using harsh words, something, if that would bring you more suffering than the suffering that the other person is creating for themselves, then you wouldn't break this vow if you didn't do it. If the benefit to the other person is very small, but the suffering that you're creating for yourself is very large, then you wouldn't be breaking the vow to not do it. Okay, that's the end of class 7. I've got 40 minutes to do 400 million more vows. No, not 400 million. But a lot. So here we go. Now we're in the group of offenses that work against the perfection of not getting angry. This one, the first one, number 13, it's called the secondary offense of losing the 4 points of the practice of virtue. So it means, so it's actually like 4 vows here. So what are the 4 points of the practice of virtue? The first point is not yelling back at someone who yells at you, that's hard. Because when someone yells at us, boy, that's that self-existent self-feeling that rises strong. And our habit is to yell back. So if you were to yell back at someone who yells at you, that would be breaking this vow. The second one is, of the virtue side, is not getting angry back at someone who's gotten angry with us. Also challenging, right? Someone who has like put you down. So Jason Kappa says that it's not just that they're angry at you, but that they're saying something to you that that is critical of you, like you're really stupid. They're doing it out of anger, and they're also saying something to you. So you break this vow if you respond in the same way. I'm not stupid, you're stupid. Okay, the third one is not hitting someone who has hit you. Again, difficult. These are difficult. These are challenging. And then the fourth one is not criticizing someone who is critical of you. The Tibetan word here is interesting, sangdru. Sangdru. And sang is the word for an ant's nest under the ground. And dru means to dig it up. So digging up an ant's nest, like digging up the dirt on somebody and raising a big problem, right? Ants are not happy when you disturb their nests. They bite. So this is talking about someone who's really being sort of vicious and cruel to you, and then not responding in the same way. So there are no exceptions in this vow. No exceptions. They're nasty. Okay, 18th vows. The secondary offense of simply ignoring those who are angry. Jason Kappa describes this as someone who's angry either because you did something to them or they think you did something to them. So it could be they have a correct understanding or a misunderstanding. So regardless of whether their understanding is correct or not, you should, bodhisattva should go, and if they're correct, if you did something that made them angry, then you apologize. And you share your wish that they not be angry with you, that you want to repair the relationship. If they have a misunderstanding, if you did not do what they think you did, you should still go to them. And you should explain what it is you didn't do. We're trying to, if we have a job description as a bodhisattva, right? Which is we're training ourselves in how to benefit other people. We're training ourselves to be the kind of person that it is awake to others and spontaneously does the perfect thing to help others. Of course, if those others have the karma to have that help, we know that. But in this training, this is just, again, helping us like build a new pattern for ourselves. Like, it may be easier to, if you haven't done anything and someone's angry at you, it may be easier to just, ignore them. Oh, they'll get over it. But we're in training. So we practice. Jason Kappa says that the motivation when breaking this rule, in other words, not either apologizing for something wrong that we did to someone who's angry, or explaining what we didn't do that the other person thinks we did, that motivation is often pride, often jealousy, sometimes hatred, and sometimes laziness. Exceptions. When you want to teach the person a valuable lesson. Again, you have to be a high bodhisattva to do this one, right? Another exception. If the other person, the one who's angry, if they would be embarrassed if you went to them. Another exception is, let's say you're in a debate, a religious debate with someone, and they get angry because they're holding to a wrong view, and they're angry at you for whatever reason, whether you pointed it out to them or whether you're just right and they're angry about that. You would not be breaking this vow if you did not explain yourself to them. If someone, another exception is if the person is very evil and they're doing evil things. So they're angry at you for something, and let's say that it's true, that what you did made them angry. But they're a person who is, I can think of some evil people on this planet right now who are doing really harmful things to other people. If we went to apologize to a person like that, then others might think that we condone all the evil things they do. So you would not be breaking this vow if you didn't go and apologize to an evil person, one who is doing evil things. Another exception, if the person would get even more angry if you went to apologize, then you would not be breaking this vow if you didn't apologize. Another exception is if the person really wouldn't feel comfortable, or if they don't want an apology, then you would not be breaking this vow. A lot of exceptions there. The 19th vow, the secondary offense oh yeah, everybody take a drink. Uh, 19th vow, refusing to forgive another person when they apologize to you for doing something wrong to you. So this sounds a lot like the root downfall, right? Number 3, failing to accept someone's apology. But here, I mean, there in the root vow, breaking the root vow required there to be what we call kunzin, holding on to anger for a long period of time. And the anger grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. Here, there's none of that long growing anger. So if you don't have that long-term anger, then you would not be breaking this vow. What are the motivations then if it's not long-term anger? If it could be pride. You think you're too important to accept an apology from that person. It could be a kind of laziness, right? You just don't feel like it. Now, these are both nasty motivations, right? For someone who is training to increase the love they have for other people. These are nasty. You just don't feel like accepting someone's apology. Or you're too important. Oh dear. Okay, the exceptions. Again, if you want to teach the person a lesson. So, hi, bodhisattvas. Another exception is if the person who is coming to you with an apology is improper, is doing so in an improper way. And he gives an example of the person is not sincere. Like they've done something to you. They know they've done something that harmed you or affected you in some negative way. And they just go like, oh, I'm sorry. Like they're not sincere. That's not a true apology. You don't have to accept that one. I mean, if you don't accept that one, it's not breaking this vow. If they're being disrespectful to you when they apologize, then you're not breaking the vow if you don't accept it. The next one, number 20, the secondary offense of not allowing thoughts of anger to go on. We had a very similar offense earlier, which was number 2, the second secondary offense, which was not allowing thoughts of desire to go on. So it's the same. The Tibetan at the end is the same, Jesujuk, letting them go on and on and on, letting them continue and grow. So this is about anger, letting thoughts of anger continue on. And there are some, Jason Kappa gives some phrases that to help us understand what can be the causes for allowing thoughts of anger to go on. One is Nyepa Mita, which means you don't really consider that it's wrong to be angry, like righteous anger, right? It's right for me to be angry because this person, this person stole my car. This person bombed my country. There's no case where anger is appropriate. I guess unless you're a very high bodhisattva. No, it wouldn't be, because those not doing something negative in order to benefit somebody, if you're that high level bodhisattva, those relate only to the first 7 of the 10 non-virtues. So the mental non-virtues, malice, coveting, and wrong views, those are not exceptions. Those are not what that vow was talking about. So this vow is not counter to that earlier vow. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Every single person deserves our love, not our anger, no matter what that person does to us or anybody else. This is part of the stretching of our heart. Okay, the second idea that Jason Kappa mentioned is called Nyempo Miten, which means if we don't try and counteract our anger. So anger arises and we don't try and stop it. Anger is very powerful, plants very negative seeds. And when we should get so fine-tuned in our mindfulness that we can sense anger before it arises and stop it from arising. So, and the way we do that is by training ourselves to stop our anger, and then train ourselves to stop it earlier, to stop it earlier, to stop it earlier. We stop ourselves from hitting someone, but we still say something in anger, or we still feel anger, but we stopped ourselves from hitting. Good job, rejoice. Next time, refrain from saying something out of anger. Okay, great. We've stopped hitting, we've stopped saying something out of anger, but now we got to work on feeling anger. And that just takes practice, practice, practice. Okay, the third one that supports like allowing anger to go on is actually thinking that it feels good. Enjoying the feeling of being angry. So these are like 3 sick ideas that allow anger to continue on. So the good news here is the exception is if you're making any effort at all, even if it's very wimpy, you don't break this vow. Are you planting negative seeds? Yes. But you're not breaking this vow. So make efforts. Make efforts. And rejoice about that, because that reinforces your ability to continue to improve in stopping anger. Okay. Oh dear, I don't know. Now we're moving on to, yes, more water. Everyone, drink water. Now we're moving on to secondary offenses against the practice of the perfection of joyous effort. Number 21. This is the secondary offense of collecting a group of disciples out of a desire to have others pay honor to you. So this is when you are, we had Kirti before in another vow. And you collect students, not so much to teach them, to share the Dharma, to help them, to benefit them, but because you want people to serve you. Like, oh gosh, I have so many projects. I need more students to do my projects for me. I need more students to uh, follow me around and take care of all my chores, all the things I don't like to do, like doing my taxes or going grocery shopping or whatever. I want to collect students to do all those menial chores for me. So that motivation is not good. if you're growing a group of students and you don't have that motivation, but students are doing things for you, you know, students have offered to do your taxes, or students have offered to go grocery shopping for you, or students have offered to wash your car or whatever. If your motivation was not to get those things, then you don't break this vow. 22. The secondary offense of failing to dispel or end your laziness and the like. So this is like getting stuck in being lazy. Like it's not necessarily a negative thing to when you're doing a bunch of virtuous activity. You're doing a lot of teachings, you're helping people at the food bank, you're raising a family, you're doing all these things to benefit others, and sometimes you just get exhausted. You have to take a break, and that's okay to take a break. This is more talking about getting stuck in being lazy. And you can see that this is like almost the exact opposite of joyful effort, right? Taking delight in doing good things. So the exceptions here are if you're sick, you're not breaking this vow. If you're lying around, that's what sick people have to do to get better. The other exception he mentions is if you are very tired from all the other activities you're doing. It's okay to take a break and recharge. 23. The secondary offense of spending time with busy talk because you enjoy it. Jason Kappa mentions 3 examples about the subject, like the things you would be talking about. Busy talk. Sex, politics, crime. What is on the front page of every newspaper? Sex, politics, crime. Those are, it's like scandal. I guess our to be human is to like be attracted to scandal. But we should not waste our time with that sort of thing. There are some exceptions, or, well, you'll understand when I say it. So if you need to find out some information, find the information quickly, as quickly as you can, and then just leave it. Get the information you need in order to live your life or serve your family or whatever it is that you're talking about, and then just let it go after that. Another is if you're doing it mindfully, like your mind is very sharp and you're very clear that you're talking about the weather or politics with someone that, if you didn't talk about these things with them, they would think you were really strange. Or it's like in your culture, it's appropriate to, I don't know, like chit chat, we call it in English, to talk on about, like, oh, the TV show you saw last night. At the beginning of work, like you go around, you just sort of, oh, good morning. Did you see in that show last night? Wow, that was really something. But you're doing it mindfully. You know you're doing it, and you're doing it just to have that, like, keep up that relationship with that person. Now we have secondary offenses against the perfection of concentration. 24. The secondary offense of failing to seek the meaning of concentration. And what this means is that if someone is teaching about meditation and you don't go, out of some negative emotion, like you don't go because you're too proud to go, or you're too lazy to go. There are exceptions. If you are sick, you don't break this vow if you don't go. Another is if you have doubts that the person is not teaching them correctly, then you don't break this vow if you don't go. Another exception is if you are already a master of meditation yourself, then you don't have to go. So those are the three exceptions. The next offense related to harming our practice of the perfection of concentration is failing to purge ourselves or failing to remove from ourselves the obstacles to meditation. So the obstacles are 5. I think, is it 5? Well, rather than me spending time to count them, we'll find out as I go through. The first obstacle is distraction. Good. This is where the mind is wild. So it's similar to that vow we had at the beginning of class about acting wild. This is when, though our mind is wild, our mind is like jumping all over the place. Our mind is flipping around to things that are attractive to us. Gyupa, which is the same, it is a distraction, but gyupa is distraction in the sense of missing things. And sometimes, especially on retreat, if we've removed ourselves from our normal day-to-day activities, sometimes the feeling of missing something comes up. thinking about things that we had or people that we knew. And I can tell you that in every long retreat I've done, whether it was a week, a month, 3 months, or 3 years, this comes up in retreat for me. So, yeah, working against that. The second one is malicious thoughts. So these are bad thoughts about a person, or mainly bad thoughts about a person. Like there's when you do retreat, at least when I've done retreat, I know that like that the patterns or habits of my mind get amplified in retreat. They get stronger. So if I had like a minor irritation with somebody before retreat that I didn't deal with, that I didn't work with to resolve, then that would grow into some big, huge thing in retreat. The mind is very strange. The third one is foggy mindedness, which is like kind of dull. In the meditation course, we learned about this. And then also in this category is drowsiness. Actually, starting to nod off. The next one is attraction to objects of the senses. That's easy. That is an obstacle to concentration. And then the last one is doubt. And doubt here doesn't refer to like doubt when we normally talk about doubt in the Buddhist teachings, which is doubt about a particular fact or a particular teaching. This is a doubt about, meaning we haven't made a decision yet about something, like doubting whether meditation has any benefit. Doubting whether the vows are bodhisattva vows are beneficial. Doubting whether karma functions the way it does. So these things, these will work against the ability to meditate. Now, if we're not working against these obstacles, this would be breaking this vow. Jason Kappa doesn't give us any insight about how long we let the obstacles go on before doing something. But because in the whole practice of meditation, we talked about that it's really a practice of catching these obstacles earlier and earlier, right? Until they don't arise. And then we go on to the next obstacle. So I'm my personal opinion, that's why he didn't talk about that. Is it like a time frame? Like, oh, if you let it go on for 5 minutes, then you've broken the vow? If your regular practice of meditation is to work on these obstacles in your practice, if you are being mindful about what arises for you, what kind of obstacle arise, if you are mindful about doing the antidotes, then you wouldn't be breaking this vow. Okay. So, boy, I broke a record. I left more undone than I did last time. Oh dear. I'm so sorry. It's not funny, really. My apologies. We will start with secondary vow 26 next time, which is the last of the group of secondary vows that work against the practice of the perfection of concentration. So please, I'm already over. I apologize again, sincerely, truly apologize for going long. I apologize for any suffering that I have caused any of the live translators. And again, I thank you for this opportunity to share these teachings. Please, please, please remember to dedicate your attention in this class towards your highest goals. And I will see you next Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you so much, teacher.
Thank you, Venerable. Please stay, please stay, please stay.
Thank you, teacher.